Cookeville City Council meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Anderson.
Present.
Councilman Woodford.
Present.
Mayor Swallows.
Here.
Vice Mayor Epps.
Here.
Councilman Albright. Here. All present.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, consider approval of agenda as presented. Do we have any additions or subtractions from the agenda?
No change.
All right, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, consider approval of a minutes of council meeting held on August 16th, 2012. Motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All right, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, on to new business. Item 3. Hold a public hearing and consider on first reading Ordinance 120817, amendments to the zoning code relative to hospice homes. Sponsors Mr. James Mills.
Mayor, council members, this ordinance amends several sections of the zoning code relative to hospice care. The amendments were initiated when the planning department was approached by Mrs. Connie Mitchell regarding the conversion of a residential structure located at 570 State Street to a hospice residence home. Such a use is currently not specifically addressed in our zoning code. Hospice care is generally defined as a program that provides palliative care and attends to the emotional and spiritual needs of terminally ill patients at an inpatient facility or at the patient's home. There are some establishments in Cookeville and in our general area that provide in-home hospice care, but to our knowledge, there are no hospice centers or hospice homes in our area. And in the opinion of the Planning Department and the Planning Commission, this is a needed facility for our area. In reviewing this, there were two primary concerns. The first is in what zoning district should such a use be allowed, and should there be different levels based on occupancy for such facilities. The operation of hospice services is regulated by the state of Tennessee, specifically in Title 68, Chapter 11 of the Tennessee Code. A certificate of need must be issued by the state to open a hospice facility. Due to the state's parameters for issuing a certificate of needs, the approval of multiple such facilities in Cookeville is unlikely. In the ordinance before the council, two classifications of residential hospice care based on the number of patients would be established. The first would be defined as a hospice residence home and would be limited to no more than 8 patients. The second would be defined as a hospice center, which would allow more than 8 patients and would be classified the same as a nursing home. The ordinance also amends the definition of a nursing home to add hospice centers. By classifying hospice centers with nursing homes, such uses would be permitted in all zoning districts in which nursing homes are permitted. And these are the CG General Commercial and MS Medical Services districts. By classifying it the same as a nursing home, no additional changes to the zoning code are necessary if the revision to the definition is approved. The ordinance also amends the provisions of the RS10, RS5, and RD districts to allow hospice residence homes as uses permitted on appeal, and amends the provisions of RM8 and RM14 multifamily residential to allow hospice residence homes as permitted uses. In the single-family districts and as a use permitted on appeal, approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals would be required, and certain conditions would have to be met. The ordinance establishes the following conditions for uses in the RS10, RS5, and RD districts. These include, you must have a minimum lot area of at least 40,000 square feet. A maximum of 8 residents would be allowed to reside at the facility. A minimum of 1 off-street parking space would have to be provided based on the number of residents and employees. No freestanding signs would be permitted. The property would have to be located adjacent to other properties zoned as multifamily and have to be accessed from the same street from which the multifamily residence or development is accessed. The structure has to be compatible with nearby residential structures in terms of scale and appearance. A site plan and floor plan have to be submitted and approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Screening and buffering is required along all property lines shared with single-family development, and all requirements of the state of Tennessee that pertain to the use and operation of such facility must be met. And while Board of Zoning Appeals approval would not be required for the hospice residents' homes in the RM8 and RM14 multifamily districts, the ordinance does establish several of the same conditions that I just went through for single-family areas. Also, the ordinance amends the chart of permitted uses to reflect these changes. These amendments have been approved by the Planning Commission and are recommended by the Planning Department. And one thing else I'd like to note, subsequent to the approval of these amendments by the Planning Commission, the petitioner contacted us and contacted the Planning Department and asked that the number of patients be increased from 8 to 10. This request is based on the state's residential hospice bed need formula, which according to the petitioner indicates that the Cookeville area has a need for a facility with a capacity of 10 beds. And the Planning Department would not be opposed to increasing this limit from 8 to 10.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments from the council?
I guess we need to make an amendment to change the maximum to 10 from 8. Because like you said in the Planning Commission, if we'd have known the number 10 at the time, we would have passed it at 10.
Are you putting that in the form of a
Motion.
Motion.
Yes, excuse me.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to increase the number of residents from a maximum of 8 to a maximum of 10.
Correct.
Okay. More questions, comments by the council?
Just to I emphasize that this is not changing the zoning to the multifamily residential. It's staying basically the same as far as the zoning. Is that correct?
There's no change of zoning in any property. It's a change in the uses that are allowed in certain zones in the city.
Okay. But if this say this ceased to be used as a hospice home, then it could not be used as anything else but either a group home or a residential, just a single-family residential. Is that correct?
Assuming that the location that was originally discussed is where this facility goes, that's correct. It's zoned single-family residential, and all that would be allowed there are uses allowed in single-family residential. And now group homes of up to 8 individuals, certain types of group homes are specifically protected by state law, and they can locate anywhere they want to in the city or in any city.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Any? All right. Anything else? All right. Seeing none, all vote.
Wait. Sorry.
You have to vote on the amendment.
We have to vote on the amendment and then vote on the motion as amended.
I was voting for it.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry.
All right. Vote on the amendment to the motion.
Yes.
Okay. I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Okay. Now we vote on the original motion.
No, the motion as amended.
Motion as amended. Okay. I'll get this eventually. All right. I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
I was the state parliamentarian when I was a senior in high school, so I just have never gotten over it.
They told me that about you.
Yeah, I know. Amazing that I learned it so well and could hang on to it for so many years.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Item 4, consider approving amendments to the Industrial Development Board bylaws. Sponsors, Mr. Jim Shipley.
Mayor and Council, this is an amendment to the bylaws of the Industrial Development Board. They actually changed 2 things in the bylaws. One was they changed the name from Putnam County Chamber of Cookeville to Cookeville Putnam County Chamber, and changed the name of the time of the annual meeting from a specific date to a reference to they have to meet within the first quarter of each calendar year. And I'd recommend your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. Do I have a motion for approval?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
You were just bragging about
I know, I was just
parliamentarian
bragging
skills.
about my parliamentarian stuff.
Any questions, comments? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right. Item 5, consider approving purchase of snow plows and slide-in salt bin with spreader from state contract. Sponsors Public Works Department, Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, the state bids out several items that they allow the cities to purchase from. 2 items on there we'd like to do that is the slide-in salt hopper with spreader. We'd like to buy 4 of those. They're $11,434 each. The total for 4 would be $45,736. And also for a truck-mounted snowplow, they're $5,056 each. 2 of them will be $10,112. Both of these are budgeted items, and I request your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Questions from the council? Comments?
I guess just like the woolly worm, I suppose is forecast that we're going to have since we're buying snow plows and salt spreaders and all this stuff, we'll have terrific winter. Is that right?
Well, if it snows, we'll be ready.
All right.
And also, it might mean like get your umbrella. It's not going to rain.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. No questions? I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Item 6, consider approving Surface Transportation Program, STP, contract with Tennessee Department of Transportation for the paving of various city streets. Sponsors Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, this is a contract with TDOT. The city has accumulated nearly $1.9 million that we can use on several projects that whatever we choose to do. We've chosen to repave some streets. I've got the ones we want to do there. We've elected to allow TDOT to manage this project, which means they would do the design and environmentals on it as well. But right now, our estimated construction cost for paving all these streets is $2,529,517. Adding the engineering costs to that of $169,478 for the design cost, and $83,474 for the environmental. We've got a total project cost of $2,782,469. Our STP funds are $1,895,848. So if the bid comes in at exactly this amount, we'll be responsible for the difference in that amount, which is $886,621. And the final numbers we won't know till actually bid it out, but they'll pay up. The TDOT will pay up to 20%, not to exceed that $1.89 million. And I would request your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments from the council?
This would be done next year, beginning February?
Well, it's up to since TDOT is managing it, they would do the design, and they indicated to me that they would have it ready for the February letting. So after it's let in February, whenever the contractor would start, so we'd probably start sometime next spring or summer.
Okay.
But that would be up however they end up bidding it out.
Okay.
And, I mean, these are streets that we have earmarked and have had earmarked that we need to pave. It's not
Yes.
It's not something that, oh, we got some money, let's just go pave some roads. I mean, these are a need that we have.
Correct,
And
yes.
we're
If we weren't using
we're
this
fortunate
money-
to get this money to do this.
If we weren't using this money, we'd be using our state street aid money that we have to pave all the rest of the streets with. So
Right.
there'd be that many less streets that we could pave
Right.
than normal.
Okay. Just want everybody to know that we're not just going out to paving just because we got money.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from council? Anything from the audience? Questions? All right. Seeing none, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Item 7, consider awarding bids for tractor with side mower and leaf vacuum. Sponsors Public Works Department, Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, we recently bid out a tractor with side mower and a leaf vacuum. The tractor and the side mower, the low bid meeting specs, $48,023 by Tri-Green Equipment, I would recommend. And we had one bid on the leaf vacuum from Old Dominion Brush, $18,241. That bid came in lower than what we anticipated, so we had asked during the budget process for more than one, so at this time I would like to increase that to buying 2, which would be $36,482. Request your approval on that as well.
Which is still under your budgeted amount.
Both are still under our budget amounts that we had.
I think you had
Well,
to-
the tractor is right at the budget amount, but the leaf vacuums are still under budget.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments from council? Mr. Brown, would you explain, go back to the tractor? You know, everyone can see 48,000, 42,000. Would you kind of explain why we went with the $48,000 one?
The 42,000 did not meet specs. We had spec'd out a clutch that you can change from forward to reverse without having to clutch it. We originally bid this particular one out last February and found out a month or two ago that the tractor that they were going to supply us did not meet the specs, so we canceled that order. And this tractor is that same tractor they've got sitting there that they can't use now, so that's why they knocked the price down, hoping we might get it. But it's just when they're mowing right away, they go use reverse and forward so much. If you have to clutch it every time, you have a tendency to burn out the clutch, and this prevents that from happening. It just lessens the maintenance you have to do on the tractors.
It's been ongoing expense if we went with
Yes, yes.
In essence, sometimes you get what you pay for, right?
The last, this will be the third tractor that we would purchase that has the clutch or the clutchless shift. So,
All right, just wanted to clarify that in case anybody looked up there and saw that we're paying more. So, and then also on the vacuums. I mean, I've had numerous people mention to me, they wish they could get around quicker, and I said we're maxed out. That's all. That's the quickest.
well, some of our vacuums are old, and
Right.
particularly when the fall is dry and warm, all that dust, they tend to break down a lot more. So, this will give us newer machines and an extra, at least one backup. So, hopefully, we can keep all the crews out.
And again, under budget.
Yes, it is under budget.
Any other questions, comments? Anything from the audience? All right. Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, consider awarding bid for Briargate Wastewater Pump Station Replacement. Water Quality Control Department sponsors Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and council, on June of this year, council authorized us to enter into an engineering contract to replace the Briargate pump station, sewer pump station. It was built in the 80s, has a lot of defects, and has basically came to its end of its useful life. We've taken bids on that project, received 8 bids. Elk Mountain Construction was the low bidder. Meeting specs was $66,850, and we'd recommend your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments from council? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
Thank you.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Item 9, consider awarding bid for hydraulic hammer. Sponsors the gas department, Mr. Jeff Mills.
Mayor and council, in our budget, we have a hydraulic breaker attachment which goes on the backhoe that we let bids out for earlier this couple weeks ago, and we received 4 bid packages back on that. And I recommend that you award the bid to H&E Equipment Services. They're out of Nashville for $17,015. They were the low bidder, meeting the specifications.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
Thank you.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Hey, Jeff, you want to tell where our finance director is right now?
He's on a much-needed vacation.
Yeah, and he's in Hawaii.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
We hope he's having fun. He deserved it. This is the portion of our meeting where we like to open the floor and let anyone that would like to come up and speak their mind. We ask that you hold it to 3 minutes if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. But we ask you to come forward, state your name, and if you can, keep it to 3 minutes. That would be great. Yes, ma'am, if you'll just come forward.
My name is Betty Tomaso. I am a taxpayer here in Cookeville, and I wish that your finance director was here tonight, but I understand he's on vacation. And the reason that I'm here is because of the real estate tax situation that has arisen recently. that not only affects the county at large, but of course it affects the city of Cookeville, where I also pay taxes, real estate taxes. And I guess one of my questions that I have for the City Council and for the Finance Director in particular, being a business owner and having some knowledge of revenue and expenses, it concerns me greatly that no one was aware of that situation. And I really find that difficult to understand because this was information that was a public record that anyone could know. And as a matter of fact, I became aware of this in November of 2011. And Mayor, you and I had a conversation recently, and we touched on this a little bit. And I guess my understanding is that the city of Cookeville has a $300 million budget. Is that correct? Annual? Or is that incorrect?
It's pretty,
Well,
it's
that
a little off, yeah.
Including the hospital.
It includes the hospital.
The $300 million?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would be the budget without the hospital?
I'm going to guess
25.
just the funds that are supported by taxes is probably about 30 million.
You're saying your expenses that are supported by taxes would be $30 million? Is that what you're saying?
General fund, state debt service, etc.
And what would be the hospital amount?
I'd have to go look at the budget. Seems like it's $142 million or something like that.
Okay, $142 million, just the hospital. Okay. How much money does the city of Cookeville collect annually in real estate taxes?
I didn't know I was going to have a test.
I apologize.
Probably
Small amount compared to our sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
$7-8 million, something like that.
The city of Cookeville collects somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 to $8 million in real estate taxes. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that's my...
That's a ballpark figure.
Ballpark, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Percentage-wise, what is that of your budget, your real estate taxes?
20%?
About 20%.
About 20%. I'm concerned about 20% of my money.
Well,
Okay.
I think it was explained to you earlier today that the county tax assessor does the assessments for the city of Cookeville.
Yeah, it's a county office,
County
county
does
elected
it.
office.
I understand that.
office was audited every year.
I understand that. I'm here to talk to the City Council of Cookeville, and I have 3 minutes, and I'd like to use it.
I think you've exceeded.
Yeah.
Have I exceeded? I will step down. Thank you very much.
Just to point out, though, that is a Putnam County office, elected office, the tax assessors, and they assess all the properties. We just send out the bills and collect the payments. Of course, it is being investigated currently, so an investigation that we have nothing to do with. We're being told by the state what to do, what to send out, what to collect at this point. So that's
I understand that. I've spoken
all.
to the state. I understand that, and I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming forward. Would anyone else like to come forward? Yes, sir.
Hi. My name is Louis Tomaso.
Yes,
I
sir.
just wanted to ask a couple questions. Regarding the real estate taxes again, will the city of Cookeville be going back 3 years like the county trying to get money? For example, there was one parcel in particular that was taxed at $0, and when it was reappraised, they're getting $46,000 now just for the county. I would like to know if the city will be going back 3 years just like the county with penalties and interest.
Yes, sir.
We will on all property that's inside the city. I think the one you're talking about is out in the county.
Right, but I
We don't-
did research, and I have about 100 parcels that I looked at within the city limits.
Yeah, we'll get, we get, it's over $200,000 that the city will get.
So the city will be going back the last 3 years then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else like to come forward? Questions, comments? All right. Anything from the council?
Yes, I'd like to make a few comments. It's come to my attention about one of the city employees. It's an article in the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. They have a newsletter, and they recognize the city of Cookeville water treatment plant recently, recognizing the water plant superintendent, Roger Phillips. And quoting from the article, the Cookeville water system strives to provide excellent water quality while meeting state and federal drinking water standards. They have been able to achieve this while maintaining some of the lowest water rates in the state. The customers are fortunate to have such outstanding treatment operators in an extremely well operated facility. So anytime we have an employee, I'd like to recognize them and congratulate Roger Phillips and the people that work at the water treatment plant. Also, this coming weekend is a big weekend. It's a Fall Fun Fest. It starts tomorrow, and roughly about 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and it's all day Saturday, roughly about 11 to 11. That's always fun to have that. And also tonight, Tennessee Tech's hosting a game, so it's Show Her Purple Pride. Cookeville becomes Techville when they play, so support the Golden Eagles.
Anyone else? Hope to see everybody out at Fall Fun Fest.
Yes, for sure.
This meeting is adjourned.